morning, everybody. Welcome to another episode of I'd Podcast That. This show is brought to you by Sitch Radio here in Irvine, California. And its original intent was to help people with their podcasting ideas and concepts and equipment and all of that. And I challenged Joey, who's over there running the board, to throw me subjects to discuss on this show because he himself is thinking about starting a show. And top of that list today was getting over imposter syndrome. So, Joey, are you feeling a little imposter syndrome?
Yeah, I feel like I can't.
We can't hear you.
Huh? You can't?
See, he's got so much imposter syndrome, he forgot to unpress mute.
Oh no, I had the booth muted.
You got to get a little louder.
I had the booth muted.
Okay. So are you feeling a little imposter syndrome, conceptualizing what you might want to podcast?
Yeah, I feel like my topics won't be like nobody want to listen to them.
Okay.
And like I don't have the voice or anything for it. So that's where my imposter syndrome kind of is right now.
Okay. And those are valid concerns that a lot of people have. Look, part of what we do here is to get people over that hurdle, which is usually the first hurdle of imposter syndrome. And I like to quote Gary Vaynerchuk here because he's just be yourself, put it out there. You're going to have an audience, you're going to have haters, and you really need to take that to heart. There's an audience for everybody. And if you don't believe me, think about the people who do the cosplay. When I first heard about cosplay, I'm like, what? People do that? There's an audience for it. And no matter what the topic is, there's an audience for it. And there's going to be people that chastise people that look funny, like cosplay, what? Like I just did. However, hey, it's their thing. They enjoy it. They're not hurting anybody. I'm cool. So getting over that, you kind of have to not care what people think. And that's hard to do, especially in today's world of social media and, trolls online talking, the messes that they talk. However, that doesn't mean it's true. Why are you valuing their opinion about you over your want or need to do something? In my mind, that's a little crazy. If you want to do a show and you're passionate about the subject matter, you shouldn't care what anybody else thinks. Are you going to make mistakes? Absolutely. Are you going to misspeak? Absolutely. Especially if it's a live show like this one. But we keep in people's mind 2% better next week than you did this week. And usually pretty quickly, people find their groove and things balance out and get better. But back to imposter syndrome. What are some of the ideas, Joey, that you've thought about podcasting about?
I thought of video games and like
huge audience.
I've thought about kind of like a movie review almost.
Huge audience.
And that's all I've come up with on my own.
Now that theaters are open, and the cool thing is I might not be your intended audience, but that's okay. You can speak to your demographic about your opinions and you will find an audience. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I mean, for example, when Sitch Radio started, it was audio only. Customers wanted video. We bring in equipment to do video. And my show remained audio only because I didn't want to put myself out there like I am right now, streaming live on Facebook and YouTube in a video format. I was uncomfortable. And one day I'm like, who cares what people think? Who cares if somebody doesn't like the way I sound, doesn't like the way I look, differs in opinion from me? That's fine. But there is an audience for me, for this show, for this content, and it's growing. And am I going to keep all of them happy all of the time? No. Should I worry about keeping all of them happy all of the time? No. I should discuss what's relevant, we go through comments. What do people wanting to know? What are people asking about? What's trending in social media when it comes to podcast questions? And that's where we try to tackle. It's the mission of Stitch Radio to help you tell your story, and getting over that imposter syndrome is step one. So you've got to come to the realization that you can't keep everybody happy, and who cares what the haters say? Pat Flynn had an episode. His son and him and his son were doing a show, and they actually had a hater for the son, who was like 8 years old, young. And Pat had a talk with his son, and it boiled down to this: hurt people hurt people. So you kind of have to feel bad for that troll, if you will, that something devastating's happened in their life and they're just lashing out at you to compensate for that. And when you couple that with worrying about what people say, it's an easier pill to swallow for me, and hopefully it is for you. But you're not going to create content that resonates with 100% of the people in the world, with 100% of the people in your neighborhood, with 100% of the people in your genre. It's just impossible. We can't keep everybody happy. But you should be doing it for you. I have a message, a story to share, and I'm sharing it with you. If it helps, awesome. If it doesn't, maybe I'll do better next time, or maybe you'll go find somebody else's show that you connect with better. But as long as you're getting the answers you're looking for, that's what matters. That's what matters most. So what questions do you have, Joey?
I'm just taking it all in right now, all the advice or all the little things you're saying, I'm just taking it in. I don't have any questions.
Have you ever stood up and done something silly in a classroom?
I've said some jokes out loud.
Okay. Did you care what other people thought? Or were you worried about getting in trouble with a teacher?
I didn't care what other people thought if they laughed, but if they
So it's that same attitude with this, right?
Yeah.
Right? You've got to realize when you put yourself out there, you're going to have people criticize. And that's just life, unfortunately. I think it's magnified with social media. But if you're passionate about movies or you're passionate about gaming, you don't have to be the expert to have a gaming show. You have to have a passion for it. You can find the experts to bring on as guests and discuss their expertise in that game or that field or that system or whatnot. And the cool thing is you get to learn from every single episode when you bring a guest on that knows a little more than you. And speaking about knowing a little more than somebody else, I was once asked, who's the expert in the room? And everyone's kind of looking at each other. Obviously, the person facilitating the meeting, we all think they're the expert. And in reality, if you know 5% more about a given subject than everybody else in the room, you're pretty much, by de facto, the expert on that subject in the room. So couple that with, I don't care what people say. I'm doing this mainly for me and to share my passions with others. And if they resonate with it, awesome. You can get over that imposter syndrome. One thing we do here at Stitch Radio, when I feel that imposter syndrome's holding somebody back, is let's do a mock show. I want you to go through the planning steps, come up with a title, a description, links to whatever social media, come up with your talking points, no script. I want you speaking from the heart. So bullet points on a piece of paper, much like this, is fine. And let's turn the lights on. Let's turn the cameras on. Let's do a show. Not public. We're going to record it and you can watch it back. You can take that video file to your circle of influence and see what they say and get constructive criticism. And 9 times out of 10, it gets people over the hump. Wow, that was easier. That was fun. It wasn't as bad as I imagined it would be. This thing in between our ears stops us from doing so much because we overthink and we over-criticize and we overanalyze. Just do it is the best advice I can give you. And if you're feeling imposter syndrome, give us a call here at Stitch Radio. You can go to stitchradio.com, hit that consultation tab, schedule some time with us and let's talk about what's holding you back from starting your show. And whether you work with a studio or not, I'll take that 20 minutes and we can have a chat. Because again, we're here to help you tell your story, no matter what it is, as long as it's not breaking the law. That's how I handle people with imposter syndrome. And I felt it myself. You know, I produced podcasts long before I had one, hundreds of episodes before I started my own. And I felt it. And now I don't feel it. I don't worry about what others say. If somebody's completely out of line, I'll delete and block them from whatever social platform they're trolling on. But 9 times out of 10, even if something is somewhat hurtful, is there a lesson I can pull from that criticism, whether it be constructive criticism or criticism? And wow, they were kind of an asshole about telling me this, but yeah, they're right. I can do this better. So maybe that's the 2% I do better moving forward with. So don't discount every attack. There might be some truth to that, and you might not see it immediately, but we can all do better. Nobody's perfect. We're all going to make mistakes, but doing it for the love of it is so freeing. Just like if you love going to the gym and you love the muscle burn and you love feeling the sweat drip off your body, you're doing it for the passion. Much like this, I'm doing it to spread this message of podcasting. It's a great medium. There are, some people think there are a lot of podcasts. There truly aren't. Discovery's getting bigger, better, faster. It's just a great medium to share, whether it be your brand story, your passion. It's a great medium, and you don't have to do video. You can do audio only. You can work up to video. You can do video only. It's your oyster. Do with it as you see fit. So did any of that help you, Joey?
Yeah, good advice. It's just the not caring what people think is hard. That's the hardest part for me.
You can't. If we cared what everybody thought about every decision we made, we'd never buy a blue car. We'd never buy a red car. We wouldn't buy a car because someone's not going to like that color. And oh my gosh, what are they going to say? We don't put thought into things like that. Should I buy this pair of jeans or that pair of jeans? What are people going to think? We don't think of things at that level. Why do we put so much pressure on us this? Mainly because it's public, However, take a step back, take a deep breath, and you've got to come to the realization of who cares. I'm doing this for the right reasons. I'm doing this with good intentions. I will find my audience. My audience will find me. Yeah. Cool. Well, thanks for tuning into this episode of I'd Podcast That. If you have any questions about podcasting, feel free to hit us up, sitchradio.com. That's SITCH radio.com. We are located in Irvine, California, but a lot of our customers are remote. With technology nowadays, we bring people in from all over the world to either host and or guest a show. And if you want to hear more about what's going on at the studio, tune into Sitch Radio podcast. And that's more of a weekly newsletter of what's going on at the studio, what's coming up, those types of things. But still some good information there. So we will see you next time. Hopefully this helped. Let me know in the comments.